What if I told you studying is the fastest way to stop your child learning? After 30 years of unschooling, I've seen time and again how making kids study backfires. Kids resent it, nothing sticks, and it makes everyone feel stressed and frustrated. In this video, I'm going to show you why studying fails and the 4 things your child's brain needs for real learning, so they can learn easily without you dragging them to the table or feeling guilty for not making them sit down and study. To start though, you first have to understand the real reason parents want their kids to study. When I work with parents, the 2 biggest concerns they have is that if they don't make their kids study, they either won't learn at all or miss important things like reading, maths, or science. And when it feels like your child's behind, it's easy to feel judged by others or like you're failing your children. But let me ask you this. If you knew they'd be just as successful without studying, would you still make them do it? Probably not. If we're honest, we jump into workbooks and lessons because we're anxious. It's comforting. But the worst part is, it doesn't help kids learn. Now, that might sound crazy, so let me explain. Imagine your child aces a test on Friday, but by Monday, they'd forgotten everything. Well, back in the late 1950s, John Holt, who was a teacher at the time, noticed exactly this. Children did worse if they repeated a test after just 1 week. Why do you think that would be? Well, he thought it was because their first score wasn't based on real understanding. Despite all their classes and studying, they simply hadn't learned. They were just memorizing information and cramming to scrape by and get through the class. And now, 60 years later, research shows exactly what Holt suspected. When you push kids to study, they just find ways to get by and strategies to make it look like they've learned, rather than developing any real understanding. Honestly, just ask any adult. No one remembers most of what they learned in school. And it's super easy as a homeschooler to fall into the same trap, thinking more studying is better. But studying doesn't produce true learning. So if studying doesn't work, what does? This is where unschooling comes in. A lot of people think that unschooling means do nothing and just hope kids learn. But it's really a way of organizing life around how the brain really learns. There are 4 things the brain needs for real learning to stick. And when you build your unschooling around these, kids learn better without all the battles. Whether they're learning a skill or information, first of all, what they're learning has to be relevant to them. It has to connect to their real life, a problem, a project, or simply something interesting to them. If it seems irrelevant to their life, their brain just won't care about it and won't see it as something worth remembering. Second, they need experience, actually using what they've learned and trying it out. This includes playing and experimenting with it in real life situations, and it often means getting things wrong. One of the places I see this really clearly is when my kids are expanding their vocabulary. They test out new words and often use them incorrectly. But it's in this process of trial and error that they work out what's wrong, what's right, and strengthen those connections in their brain. The third piece of learning is that they have autonomy. They actually need to choose for themselves what, when, and how to learn. Without having a say in the matter, learning feels forced upon them and less enjoyable. So their brain stops learning and just starts looking for ways to get through it. When they choose what and how they learn, their brain pays way more attention and they really own what they learn. Last, the whole thing only works if they feel safe. If they're worried or stressed, or if they feel judged, learning basically stops. Their stress response kicks in and shuts down parts of the brain that are essential for learning. When they feel safe, their brain is open to learning and can put more energy into forming new memories, new skills, and ultimately stronger neural connections. When these 4 things line up, learning sticks effortlessly. When they don't, learning stalls, motivation drops, and frustration rises. But there is one time when studying not only produces learning, it actually magnifies it, even when you're unschooling. When kids choose to study something for themselves, it's incredibly powerful. It's like your child suddenly absorbs everything they possibly could know about a subject, whether that's Minecraft, dinosaurs, or marine biology. You give kids the freedom to choose what's interesting and relevant to them. Time to explore those topics safely without fear of getting them wrong or making mistakes. And when they're really into something and want more structure, that's when they can study and dive deep until they're full up. But knowing that learning doesn't come from studying doesn't help if you're worried they won't learn without it. So watch this video where I'll show you everything you need to know about unschooling to be confident and trust that kids will learn everything they need without being told what to do.